Hello and welcome to yet a very special edition of New Day Calumet City. I'm your in-studio host, Sean Howard, filling in for our Mayor, Thaddeus Jones. Today, I'm very grateful and honored that we have the 7th Ward Alderman here in the studio to talk about his vision for the 7th Ward, and that's none other than Alderman Anthony Smith. Alderman, how are you?
Great to be here.
Yeah, man. There's so much to get into, and I know people in the 7th Ward know your face, they know your name, but yet and still they may not know who you are in terms of your background, how you engaged in this political and governmental process. Let's just talk about Anthony Smith. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And those type things.
Originally from the south side of Chicago. Actually grew up in the 9th Ward, now Alderman Anthony Beals Ward, formerly, I think it was Robert Shaw's ward.
Yes.
Originally met former Commissioner Shaw on my mother. Pretty much when I was, first time I met him was when I was a little boy. My mother was the block club president on the 1st Street Block Club, Vernon Block Club.
Now, what street, what area was that? Because I was raised there too.
Roseland, Rosemore.
Okay, very good. Yeah. You're near 103rd Street area, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, high school, where did you go?
High school, I went to Quigley South, which is now St. Rita. I went there for 3 years, graduated from Harlan, came out of there in 90 when they had the issue with the school closing.
I'm
and so forth.
Fellow Falcons.
All right.
Definitely fellow Falcons.
Right. So enjoyed my last year there.
Yeah, well, you know, when you talk about 9th Ward politics, so much goes into that because you're talking about basically Mayor Richard M. Daley at his height, the Shaw organization at their height, but you probably was able to witness the governmental process high speed and at a high pace. Talk about your move to the South Suburbs and that particular experience.
Well, I moved to Calumet City in August of 2000. At that particular point, I'm divorced now, but I was married. Started my family here with my son Xavier, who's now a third year. He's a junior at Northern Illinois University.
Oh, okay.
So
he's a Husky.
Yeah, he's a Husky, and that's where my money's been going. So started there. Originally got engaged with just public service in general under a previous Alderman Brian Wilson. Mm-hmm. Basically, made some inquiries about public quality of life issues for the public. Mm-hmm. When I moved out in 2000, when I saw my tax bill in 2002, it made me want to ask a lot of questions. And so at the time, Cindy Pallick was the alderman of the 7th Ward, and she didn't do a great job of answering all my questions. But that got my curiosity.
Definitely intrigued
going.
you.
Yeah, so Alderman Wilson at that time, he actually nominated me for the, back in 2009 to 2012, I served on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Okay. So I learned quite a bit about some of the insides of quality of life issues with zoning, with different businesses, with how, residential constructions are affected and so forth.
You know, there's a big difference between the tax structure in Chicago and then the Southland.
Yes.
When you come here, you get your tax bill, you got the township, the library, the schools, the parks, and then the city. And many of our residents don't understand the real civics of that.
Right.
And they look on their tax bill, they see the bottom figure, and they come to City Hall and blame City Hall, when actually, in some cases, the city hasn't gone up on your taxes, but it's the township. And have you been able to kind of gauge that, and are you able to articulate to the residents, this is how you reach your tax bill, something as fundamental as that?
Actually, yes. I know because I was on the other side of that coin many years ago. But what I typically tell them is look at the tax rates within the rate. So look at how the bill is decomposed. Mm-hmm. So how much are you actually paying in parks? How much are you actually paying in school boards? Many times, many bills have multiple school districts, which is a really big thing when you go into suburban areas. So most of the bill typically is going to school districts, and then there's a city. But roughly, local municipality, we only take about 17%
right.
of whatever that total that you're playing. So we're not getting the majority of the money, but nonetheless, you deserve service.
Yeah, and oftentimes people don't engage themselves with their local park and school board, and they got to realize those are taxing bodies.
That's right.
And I know you've been talking about encouraging your residents not only to attend city council meetings, but obviously attend those meetings as well.
Yeah, I always encourage, because I've been on the other side of that coin, I've always encouraged, hey, get involved. Contact your alderman. Ask these questions, ask the tough questions, bring your complaints and your concerns, but ask the questions. Hey, what's going on here? Why are my taxes so high? What kind of services can I get for my home? What kind of services can I get for my water? When are my streets going to be paved? When are my sidewalks going to be paved? What's coming in? One of the projects that I'm very, very proud of is the project of Wilder Foods coming in to the old Target space. I worked with another organization, MCP, got the attention, found that they were in Chicago in the rail yard, basically had a series of conversations with the CEO, and we were able to get them out here. So they're going to provide 80 local jobs, hydroponics, indoor farming, with comparable competitive wages, and they're going to learn the vocation.
That's a great segue into a subject matter that's near and dear to your heart. Every alderman has their niche, but it is profoundly known in this city council when it comes to economic development, bringing more jobs, not only into the 7th Ward, but also into the city at large. That's always been the top of your radar. What kind of leads you into that particular direction, if you will, as an elected official?
As an elected official, primarily just identifying and observing the differences between what I would consider to be more affluent areas versus maybe moderate versus maybe lower than that. I believe that we have to compete for opportunities. I believe every community deserves at minimum the basics, and that if you want to improve the quality of your basics and your services, then you have to improve the quality of your local economy. So I'm more concerned about bringing and attracting jobs that are maybe 20, 50, to 100 years into the future, and getting Calumet City out of the segment of just being a bedroom community where you once just rest your head. I mean, that's fine, but I would like to see some industries here that would bring some businesses and jobs and other economic opportunities that would be comparable for our layout as far as being landlocked and in some of the areas, some of the restrictions we have.
And that feeds well into this potential marriage of workforce development. We've seen logistical manufacturing really take the Southland by storm. Your Amazon corporations, many of your trucking firms, and it appears, that particular method of just business commerce coming into the Southland has benefited the Southland well. Is that the goal? I know the mayor often speaks to trying to attract those type of companies, as you just mentioned, but those are the dollars of the future for our kids, because many of our children, we teach four-year institutions, but oftentimes the trade schools are the better route, and many of our high schools often offer that form of distributive education to get our kids trained into the trade. What's been your take on that?
My take is definitely hone in on the genius of for parents on your child. Every child has a unique genius. You just have to find out what it is, find out what their interests are, find out what their strengths are. If they're very good in school, typically what I advise parents to consider are STEM-related programs. I have a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, so I have a STEM degree. I actually work in information technology, so I work in the STEM area.
You see it every day.
Right. So the economic opportunities are great in STEM-related areas, but that's just technology. You have environmental science. You've got biomedical, chemical. You got a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
But if not, okay, consider business. Consider maybe accounting, financial accounting. Typically, if a child hasn't done extremely well, then I would recommend they go to a 2-year institution, maybe consider a trade vocation. They can always reevaluate. School academia is not for everyone.
Right. And supply chain management is something that my daughter just graduated from Tuskegee in supply chain and got 6 job offers coming out, making a pretty good start in pay, and encouraging others to do so. When you look around the Southland, when you made this migration from from the Ninth Ward to here, what really attracted you about the Southland way of life, the Southland living, if you will?
Well, when I left Chicago, I lived in Palos Hills for about 4 years. And prior to coming here, at the time, I looked out in a variety of different suburban areas, be it Southwest, Northwest, and at the time I was working in the Rosemont area, so I was thinking commute-wise. Right. I did not want to be too far out of Chicago, so I started looking around like South Holland, Calumet City, and Lansing, and at the time I was able to locate a builder that was actually building up in Calumet City, and that was probably in, 2000, and bought out here, and it worked out well. What convinced me to stay out here were some of the things that drew me out here, which were proximity to city of Chicago. So if I worked in the city, I felt like, hey, we're 10 minutes out. If you're on the expressway, it's about 25 to 30 minutes into downtown. If you're on the train, public transportation, it's about 35, 40 minutes. So it's a great location.
Yeah, and I think another thing that attracts education. I mean, I think the city of Chicago Public Schools have vastly improved the educational system. But I think that was another method of rationale for many residents to come and enjoy a path of luxury in some of our schools because they're equipped with the type of services that maybe some of the schools in Chicago may not be.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree. I've seen within the school districts here, there's a greater focus on STEM-related programs. I think it's School District 151. They have a agricultural science, and so I've been speaking with them because they made some inquiries about Wilder Foods, which is the indoor farm that's going up in Target right now, about maybe possibly doing some outreach or showcasing some of their technical methodologies to the kids.
I know you had a personal stake in driving a new barbecue restaurant into your community as well. Talk about that. You talked about that in the past.
Yes, I did. So at the old Applebee's location, a business by the name of 79th Street Barbecue, is a minority black-owned business, will be coming. They actually have a couple of sites in Chicago. They also have a couple of locations. They have one location, I know, in Evergreen Park. My ward assistant, community liaison, Ms. Burns, she brought them to my attention, so I want to definitely give her the credit. I'll try to give credit where credit's due. And they just had a phenomenal product. The barbecue, I would say that they're kind of an upcoming competitor to Famous Dave's. And they're looking to open sometime within the next month, sometime within April.
And there's a very attractive count of cars coming through that area, which I'm pretty sure is your pitch to potential businesses coming into the community.
Well, the way I've taken it primarily, one of the main goals and main promises that I've made all the residents is, hey, I want to improve the quality of life with more economic opportunities out here. That means bringing better industries, better businesses, and more jobs out here. So 79th Street is going to provide 20 local jobs. They're going to pay, competitive, comparable wage. And there's workforce development as far as, the food services field. So I always look for, jobs, first and foremost, workforce development, and also paying prevailing wages, preferably competitive wages.
Your role as alderman, I mean, we see you in the community, and I know your residents and constituents, if you will, are accustomed to seeing you performing your general services into their homes, saying, hey, engage. But talk about the behind-the-scenes role here in City Hall where you have to interact with department heads. I'm sure that's as much as your time as well as dealing with residents.
Yes, it is, especially with economic development. Many of the things that I've talked about, I mean, they've been about 3 or 4 years within the running. And so you'll start the dialogue initially with the merchant or the prospective business owner, and you have to nurture that relationship, and then you turn it over. You work with the economic development person. I've been very, very fortunate fortunate to work with Val Williams.
Val
Williams is phenomenal.
Yes.
She's been phenomenal. So anything you look at, definitely I want to make sure I recognize her. But building those relationships, developing a rapport, understanding what is community economic development anyway? What does that really look like? What does that look like when you talk about what should I put here? What business should I bring here? It's not always just about just bringing any and every business, but what businesses make sense in different locations and what are the mid to long-term opportunities for those businesses.
Yeah, and you've kind of mentioned this as I go into this next question, but your vision moving forward, totality-wise, in totality, for the 7th Ward, your vision, what does that consist of?
My vision is maybe along the lines of the city of Berwyn, with respect to especially having a vibrant retail central business area. So historically, Calumet City, probably way maybe 50 years ago, the Burnham Avenue area was considered downtown Calumet City. Calumet City really doesn't have a downtown. So what I'd like to do is, in working with the current administration, transform the River Oaks west and east, to that type of look. Because that's where things are going. That's where construction's going. That's where retail, that's where business trends, storefront business trends are going. So I think we need to get in front of it, but we need a couple of other different pieces. Bringing good industries out here, preferably, in my estimate, in STEM, like energy, great. Will provide the necessary wages for, businesses that have a higher quality service to attract their eye and attract their ear.
In your monitoring, because it's very important for our residents to know that much of what they call the River Oaks District is within your ward.
Yeah.
The way you monitor the activities there and the way you engage with the business owners, and I know you have a very unique relationship with them, how did you cultivate that when you were elected?
Well, when I was elected, I just went in there, went to each and every business along with my community ward liaison and introduced myself. I handed out my cards at the time, and I started making, I would say, periodic inquiries on, quality of life issues with the mall, primarily if there were repairs, how the traffic was looking, were they overseeing, seeing any rambunctious activity, and just anything that looked suspicious, and how they were being treated by management. And so over that time, I developed some good rapport with some very good businesses over there.
And circling back, as we started the show, we talked about the 9th Ward, and you kind of witnessed the role of an alderman in the city of Chicago, and that's a taboo word there because they said it's the worst job in politics as an alderman. Do you find, on a much milder note, that it is, in fact, a very difficult day-to-day job that really entails a lot of communication? Do you find yourself working harder than some of the other regional leaders at times, the township folks, maybe congressional, what have you? Do you find yourself on the grind?
I definitely understand. I definitely understand the work that they do there, and I understand the stresses that come along with it. So I have a definite profound respect, especially if they're getting stuff done.
Right.
It is stressful at times. It's definitely a communicative job, and it's definitely one where you can't play the blame game. When people want services or when they want help, they want it, and they really don't care, what you need to do or, what measures you need to take to get it done. And so you have to be, respectful, because people are going to come with you. They're going to come to you with their complaints. They're going to come to you with their concerns. And you just have to remain calm, take it all in, and give them some reassurance and get to work and be resourceful.
Okay, couple of short shots here. Deep dish or thin crust?
Deep dish.
Cubs or Sox?
Conflicted.
Oh,
both.
Alderman.
Both.
Both. You're a Chicago fan.
Well, if they're playing each other, I'm conflicted, but Sox for the most part.
And would you rather the Bears stay at Soldier Field or move out of there?
Soldier Field.
My man. Well, thanks, Alderman. I really appreciate it. Want to have you back on to get a department head and really get into the weeds of what's going on with walkable communities, to which are very important to you in your particular ward. But once again, thank you for taking time out to be with us. And we just like to tell you, you can always tune in here to your public access station right here on New Day, Calumet City, where I've been Sean Howard, along with Alderman Anthony Smith of the 7th Ward. We appreciate him for being here. And as we always say here on the show, keep the faith.